What's going on, YouTube? It's your homeboy by the name of Brandon the Broker. And since I am bored, we are going to do a little reaction to my good friend Vigilante Gamer. He did a Nintendo Fanboys really thought they did something. I'm sure they did do something. I don't know what they did. I mean, they're fanboys. He's a Sony fanboy. But we're going to get into this and see what it is he has to say. Now, okay, there we go. Full disclosure, I have watched this video before, so nothing in here is new, but there are some things that I think he was correct on. There's things I think he was a little incorrect on. Let's go.
Oh boy, I have made, and along with some other people, have made these damn fake gamer fanboys of Nintendo so mad. They cannot handle the simple truth that their daddy Nintendo is ripping them off. So let's check out their comments, shall we? So with this person commenting, he sat there and responded saying that my video was stupid. I decided to try to mess with him, but the guy was too stupid to understand. But he said that my video is stupid because it is a ripoff of just another video that rides on someone else's content. Lame. Well, no shit that I'm riding on his content. That's what most YouTubers do here. Maybe not most.
Yeah, pretty much every reaction channel. Hell, you know, Fresh and Fit is a ripoff of Andrew Tate. You know, Brandon Jamal is, I wouldn't call him a ripoff. He's more of a continuation of Kevin Samuels. Hell, you got the wrestling channels that rip off WWE or AEW. That's not really that new. So, yeah, we're going to kind of say that's kind of stupid because, hell, reactionary channels is its own corner of YouTube, which is a very big growing corner.
But a lot of YouTubers do not even make their own content. You think Austin John Plays makes his own content? He sits there and rips off and uses Nintendo's content to make his own content, for crying out loud. That was just stupid on your part, Alex something whatever 8233. Next up, we got one sitting there saying that I'm a loser. Well, guess what? What does that make you? You're the one that watched my video.
You know, I think when people say things like that, like you're a loser, like that's the best you could come up with was I'm a loser. Congratulations.
Well, then you took it upon yourself to respond to it. And this has to be one of my favorite ones I keep hearing from people. You must be broke to be a true gamer. All because I sit there and criticize Nintendo's overpriced BS bullshit. No, I'm not broke. I probably make more money than you do, and I don't sit there and have mommy and daddy constantly buying me whatever I want. I actually have to pay for what I want. But the reason why that I have money and I'm not in debt and not a broke person is because I don't waste my money on stupid bullshit like you do. Now, I'm not going to go hard into this one because, this person just misinformed, and I think they were trying to actually give constructive criticism, even though they're completely wrong. This is so weird and angry. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen weirder get an audience, but I just don't see how attacking someone who is just sharing info with a little bit of opinion is going to do you well. I wouldn't be surprised if you proved me wrong, but it gives off just incel energy. You can't change the price, that's something to be angry about. Sure, but why attack someone who has nothing to do with the price? Seems like you were just trying to feed off of someone more popular and doing it badly. You can still pivot and do worthwhile critiques, but this is kind of pointless. Listen, I had another gaming channel where I tried to do that, it didn't work out. Okay, you have to stand out now.
Okay, so that gaming channel he talks about was our channel together that me, him, and Shea Butter had, B3 show. And it didn't fail on his part. It failed more or less. It was a cacophony of reasons. But one of the reasons why I left that show was because I started having medical issues. When I was a kid, I used to have a little bout of epilepsy. And right around the time that we really started to record the show, I started to notice that the little head twitch was coming back. But, that's the last thing you really want. Sometimes I can control it, sometimes I can't control that. So, yeah, I had to leave the show for that reason. And, by that point, it was just, me and him doing the show. Shea Butter had already left the show because she was too busy with her job and family commitments and stuff like that. But hey, if you look at them two now, you got Vigilante Show, who has 1,000 something subscribers. You got Shea Butter, she just hit 10,000. And then there's me, who can have the flex of saying, I'm so rich I can afford medical bills. That's not really a flex.
And of course I'm feeding off of him. He is more popular. That's what he's doing. Nintendo is way more popular than he is, and he's feeding off Nintendo. Pretty much everybody does stuff like this, so this is nothing new. And just so you know, I have proved you wrong because I have another YouTube channel where I do stuff very similar to this, where I do more like angry reaction type stuff too, and I'm monetized and making money on that currently. So calling one of the best Nintendo YouTubers a fake gamer, it really isn't very bright on your side. This guy's referring to Austin John Plays. I don't know if he's really one of the best Nintendo YouTubers. He's one of the best Nintendo fanboy ones, that I will agree with you on. And yes, he is a fake gamer. When you sit there and accept these price points and try to convince people...
I have no comment on AJP. I've never really seen any of AJP's stuff, so I don't know if he's a fake gamer or not. I don't know if he's a Nintendo fan. Now, if you're a Nintendo apologist or any company's apologist, where the company can do no wrong, even when they've been proven to do wrong, it's kind of like being, oh no, I'm not going to say that. That's kind of way too extreme. But it would be kind of, you could look all around you and see that a certain entity is wrong, but you're just going to keep saying, no, they're right because I want them to be right. No matter how much you want them to be right, if they're doing wrong, they're wrong. Now, is Nintendo wrong? You could say it. Are they wrong? Yes, but no, because here's the thing. Nike has been putting out the same shoes since I was a kid. Jordan retired in 98. I don't think he's had a brand new shoe of his own in years. But he could put out the same shoe that people used to wear when I was in 7th grade. And guess what? People are going to buy it. So does it matter? Not really.
To pay these price points, not being completely honest about it, then that makes you a fake gamer in my opinion. And you never responded back. Why is that, sir? Why is it not bright on my side? I gotten over 1,300 views on that one video. Yeah, it doesn't seem a lot, but when you're starting off, that is pretty good. Fake gamer from a guy hiding behind a fake avatar. My avatar is just badass, so you can go screw yourself for all I care. I've watched thousands of hours of Austin John playing games. Meanwhile, I've literally never even heard of you. Well, that's because I just started this channel. I'm a very, decently fast, up-and-coming rising star in my own mind. I'll admit that one. But trust me, you will hear me, I promise you. Austin John Plays has tons of followers. This is a classic troll tactic. Hit your wagon for some views. Hope this guy gets his payday. Don't worry, I will.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people have heard of Michael Jordan. Not a lot of people have heard of Vernon Maxwell. Vernon Maxwell was a great player. A lot of people have heard of Michael Jordan. A lot of people may not have heard of Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler, is a basketball player as well. So not really the best. So that wasn't really the best.
And guess what? Austin John Plays does the same thing. Nintendo has way more followers than he does. At least Nintendo actually cares about their home country in some capacity. Sony, on the other hand, hiked the price of the PS5 and all the accessories in 2024 in Japan. Now, I'm not going to read the rest. You guys can go ahead and read the rest. Okay, where have you seen one of my videos where I have defended Sony doing price hikes? You will never find it. I'm against these price hikes. I will even though I love Sony, I will bash Sony too. I'm not afraid. Nobody, listen, the one thing about me is I am pro consumer. I am not pro company. I am not pro corporation. Screw these corporations. You think I care? No, I do not. You know, does it suck that the price hike happened? Sure. But guess what? I didn't have a YouTube channel back in 2020. Well, I didn't have this YouTube channel back in 2024. So what am I supposed to do with this, my guy? We should not be harsh on them because they earn so much money. For them, this is a meal in a good restaurant, which is very true. But you also have to understand that all these you
We should not be so harsh on them because they earn so much money for them. This is a meal in a good restaurant. Oh boy.
YouTubers that are gamers, you do realize that they get to write off all this stuff. Like I get to write off, you know, a portion of it on my taxes, at least here in America. I'm not speaking for every country. I don't know the tax laws in UK or Canada. I'm assuming that there's something that they get deducted. But here in America, I get to write off a portion of it on my taxes. Okay, so you know what? It doesn't cost me as much as the rest of the gamers. Most of the gamers do not get this luxury of writing it off on their taxes. Okay. Now, I can sit here and lie to you guys, and I can sit there and try to brainwash and manipulate you to keep the industry going like this and not give a fuck. But no, I am pro consumer because I do not want you guys to get screwed over and have to waste your money. You think the Japanese should have to pay a 67% increase while Americans should only have to pay a 10% increase? This is insanely unfair to Japanese people, and you know it. No, I don't know it. Okay? You think I care that Japanese have to pay a 67% increase? You think I care? No, I don't give two shits. Okay? Why should I care if you guys cannot afford it? You know, this is going, he's talking about when I refer to that is bullshit that we have to pay 450, but Japan only has to pay 330. It is BS. Okay, you know what? We should all have to pay the same. I completely agree with that one. There is no reason why I have to pay 45% and you guys only get to pay 33%.
Yeah, I could see this one right here. I mean, Japan usually does get the hometown discount, or as we basketball fans would call it, bird rights. If you don't know what bird rights are, do a YouTube search or a Google search of what bird rights are. But yeah, sometimes the home country does, whatever the country is of origin, usually will get the lower discounted price. Sometimes, and it's not always because it's where it's made. Sometimes it's what they can afford. Just do yourself a favor. Get yourself a VPN, for example, and look up airline tickets from your country, from the United States. And then I want you to switch your VPN to a different country. And you'll notice that the price goes drastically down.
So you thought you got me on that one. You think I care how much of a percentage increase? Screw that. And then he also responded, keep saying 330. They're not paying for Switch 2s in USD. They're paying in yen. Using exchange rates in this conversion is blank when that country has had crazy inflation. No shit. I didn't know that Japanese money is different than American money. Wow, that was something new I just learned from you damn simpleton. Of course I knew that. Okay, but when you sit there and convert it into American money, that's what it comes to. No fucking shit. And you think I care if you guys have had crazy inflation? Honestly, I don't even think that this is a Japanese guy. I think this is some guy in America trying to be a troll and defending and caping for Nintendo and making bullshit excuses. But no, you don't think we've had crazy inflation? We've all had crazy inflation. It's nothing new.
True.
Respectfully, I think there are some bad takes in this video. The reason the system is cheaper in Japan is because the currency is weaker right now. But the Japanese consumer also purchases more games, so they know if they can get them to buy a console, they will make back more on software. The US market will still buy the Switch 2 regardless of price, and it doesn't make sense to price the new console at $330 when the OLED Switch is still priced at $350 in North America. I appreciate some of the things you called out in this video, but I don't think the pricing is that out there compared to the competition. No, it is very out there compared to the competition. And you know what? I don't know how you can sit there and say that Japan pays for more games. Well, probably because they must discount them severely for Japan to be able to afford them. But most of Nintendo's revenue, the two top countries of Nintendo's revenue, okay, for definitely during the Switch time, was United States accounting for over $4.45 billion, which is over a third, and then with Europe, it accounted for, or I think I might have gotten the numbers wrong, but
Let's do a quick little search real quick. Hold on. We can do this quick little search. I'll give it a quick search just to make sure. Uh, we're gonna put in Nintendo earnings for each country during during the Switch era. Jesus. Okay, you know what? I suck at typing right now. I really suck at typing. Okay, during the Switch era for 2022, the US contributed 5.232 billion, Japan 2.965 billion. That's just 2022.
yep, 4 billion in revenue just from America alone, and then Europe was number 2, which I believe was like 3 billion. Which so with Europe and America, now I know Europe's a continent and not a country, but all we contributed more than all of Europe did. Okay, so most of their money comes from Europe and America. So Japan doesn't even contribute a third. So why should we have to subsidize Japan's inability just because their money is weaker? There are other countries where their money is weaker that's probably paying a lot more than Japan is. Okay, time for inflation school. Here's the price of the game adjusted for inflation. Some of Mario Kart releases. Super Mario Kart 1992 was $39.99, adjust for inflation, $90.33. Mario Kart 64 1997 was $40, adjust for inflation at $80. The one on the GameCube was $50, adjust for inflation, $86.45. Oh wow. Mario Kart Wii was $50, adjust for inflation, $74.25. I know it seems a lot, mainly as wages have not kept pace with inflation, but we're willing to splash out 9033 on a super card on the Super Nintendo. They didn't pay 9033. You can try to sit there and adjust.
Boy, you're an idiot. No, you did not splash out 9033. You splashed out $39.99. But here's the difference. You ready? You could get that $39.99 Super Mario Kart, and you could also get a basket full of groceries for $50. I'm talking basket full to the brim, above the brim, for $50. You could also get that game. You could also get the NWO, the WCW versus NWO World Tour. You could also get 2 pepperoni pizzas, popcorn, soda, everything else, and still have a lot of money left over. Today, you get one of these games for $90, you're screwed. Inflation school.
From inflation all you want to, but you're so damn, you thought you actually got me. You're so smart. You thought you got me. You sat there and looked up these talking points without doing your proper research. Oh yeah, you really got me, you freaking damn simpleton. Listen, the reason why back then games were so expensive was because the manufacturing cost of making the game was so much more. Yes, development costs have rose here in this time compared to back in 1992, but it is very cheap to actually make the manufacturing of the damn games now. Okay, that's why for a long time the prices stayed the same, because as games went on, it became cheaper to make them versus how it was before. So that is the reason why that they were so much more expensive than they are nowadays. And also, they didn't sell nearly as many copies of the one on the Super Nintendo versus the one on the Nintendo Switch because the market was smaller. Okay, you ever notice why you go to a mom and pop store that sells a can of soup for $2.50 and then you go to Walmart and they sell for $2? Because Walmart can sell for less of a price because they have a bigger market than the mom and pop, you damn freaking simpleton.
Okay, I don't like the fact that he uses the word simpleton that many times. But economics of scale of economics or economics of scale is a very real thing. For example, it's also because one store buys in bulk. I used to be a truck driver. I used to take truckloads, trailer loads of soup over to Walmart DCs, sometimes straight to Walmart. So, and we're talking about a 45,000 pound load of just soup, just water, just whatever. So, yes, when you have economics of scale on the size of Walmart, Target, Amazon, you could sell something for $29, $30. Whereas if you go somewhere else, like a GameStop or the mom and pop video store, they're going to sell it for 40, 50, sometimes $60. That's economics of scale. Walmart, Amazon, Target, maybe I'm not sure about GameStop anymore, but they might still have economics of scale, but a place like Walmart where they definitely have it, yeah, you could get away with certain things.
I could bang on about how Amazing Prime is not worth it. Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo was over $90. I think it would be a better game than that. Okay, now, as a short thing, he brought up Prime about how much that they cost, so we don't need to get into that. But I would surely the fuck hope so that the new Mario Kart would be way better than the Super Nintendo. That one for the Super Nintendo came out over 3 decades ago. Okay, I'm not going to say my age because I don't need to say, but I was a very young kid when that game came out. So no shit, I would think this game is going to be better. There's more characters, the graphics are better, the gameplay is better. No shit, Sherlock, that this game is going to be better. I got to say, if Nintendo isn't greedy, then why are their games still full price when they're 8-year-old games? I'm just waiting for Xbox to mess up now. Now, honestly, I don't see how Xbox could have messed up more than what they did with the Xbox One. But I will have to sit there and say, I have not a whole lot of negative stuff to say about Xbox right now. Like, yeah, some of their games are mediocre or not very good. But when you get an amazing deal like Game Pass, there isn't much to complain about with Xbox. Now, with Nintendo, if you notice, some of their games did go down in price. Okay, but the ones that are pretty much staying at full price that are 8 years old, I mean, they've gone down a little bit. You want to know why that they sit there and keep them at that price? People are like, oh, well, it's because we make a quality game, so this is what you're going to pay. No, they sat there and kept those damn prices because they were planning on releasing them onto the Switch 2, and if they lowered the price, they would not have been able to get away with raising the price on the Nintendo Switch 2. That is the reason why that they did that bullshit. So I guarantee you the games that they did discount, because if you look at Captain Toe Tracker, or even, well, no, Yoshi's Crafted World is kind of up there, but look at the Captain Toe Tracker, for instance, or the Mario Rabbids games, for instance, even though I forgot what company actually made them, but they're still IP, they're still using Nintendo's IP, so they probably do control the price of them. If you notice, those games dropped in price. They lowered it and discounted those games probably because they're just going to get the simple free upgrade is the reason why. Okay, Nintendo thinks they're smart when they're not. But unfortunately, it's not that Nintendo is smart. The Nintendo fanboys are just freaking simpletons is all they are. Who cares? Shit costs money. Buy it or don't. Stop being butthurt over shit you can't control.
Yes, you actually technically you can control prices. It's called supply, demand, and do you actually want it? Example, look at what's that? It was the PlayStation and the Dreamcast. I think the Dreamcast was $399 and Sony just came out. They went on stage and they just said $299. And that killed the Dreamcast right there on the spot. this happens every day in life. Yes, things do cost money, but if it's overpriced, or if you feel like the price isn't justified, if you don't buy it, guess what ends up happening? That price comes down. Is why you see a TV all year $299, $399, but as soon as Christmas starts to creep in, it goes to $175, $150, and just before Christmas, $99.
Well, with an attitude like that, of course you're not going to be able to control it. But no, you can control it. I guarantee you right now, look at the 3DS. It was not selling well when it first started. You know what they did? They dropped the price. Now, also, it had a lot to do with PlayStation releasing something far superior than the 3DS. Okay, but look at the Wii U. That thing didn't sell well. What did they do? They dropped the price. The Xbox One didn't sell well. What did they do? They dropped the price. Okay, when things don't sell well, they drop the prices. I guarantee you. Now, some of Nintendo's games that are horrible and shitty, yes, some of them do not drop in price. Look at freaking Mario Brothers Ship. That thing was a horrible game, and that thing is still selling almost at full price. All right, now this last comment is going to be coming from a video that I'm going to be reacting to from Verlisify. I think that's how you pronounce his stupid freaking name. This YouTuber made this video just to be an edgelord because who really agrees with your take? He responds, literally the vast majority, 150 million bought the Switch and over 1 billion games. Tens of thousands are seriously boycotting. I'm pretty certain that's a lot more than that. You think if Nintendo continues on with this BS, they're going to sell 150 million consoles again? You are out of your freaking mind. The biggest reason, well, there was 2 big reasons why the Switch sold as well as it did. Okay, I'll give you 3. Number 1 is it was on the go. You can sit there and play a handheld where the graphics and everything was good enough, okay? Then it was at a fair price, $300. Very fair price compared to what the PS5 was in the Xbox Series X, okay? I bought my PS5 during the shortage, and it was like $500. Now, I didn't pay the scalping prices. That wasn't going to happen. And then he was like, over 1 billion games have sold. You think that Mario Kart World's going to sell nearly as much as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did? You are out of your living mind if you think that people are going to pay an extra $20 for that bullshit of a game. Okay? So there's going to be a lot more than tens of thousands. Yeah, I actually really did enjoy this video.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that there's a such thing now as a lot of competition in that realm that Nintendo Switch didn't really have to put up with in the beginning. And I always say it like this. They now have to play against the Steam Deck. They now have to play against the Legion Go. They now have to play against people who just have cell phones and tablets who can just download any game that they want from an app store. You could play a lot of these games on your phone, your tablet, your computer, your laptop, PS Portable. Me, I'm not getting any of these. I'm actually getting an old PS Vita. Don't ask me why. I just am. But with all of everything that you have out now, Nintendo does have a lot of competition that they're going to have to wade through. Anyway, I'm done with this. Go like and subscribe to Mr. Angry Vigilante Gamer, and also check out his other channel, The Vigilante Show. Until then, have a good day, game safe, and get your crumble cookie. I know you guys haven't been going to get your crumble cookies. Get your crumble cookie. Get the pink sugar.